2002 because statistics show that 68% of fourth graders could not read at grade level, and 83% of 12th graders were not proficient in math, and 82% were not proficient in science. So it was necessary for teachers to become more highly qualified to make sure that those numbers went down a lot. Teachers had to teach students how to read, use assessments to create lesson plans that have different instructional methods so that each student gets what they need, like especially with the multiple intelligences. And special education teachers had to make sure that even their students were able to know grade level material so that they could pass assessments, even if it wasn't like CRCT per se. They could use like alternative assessments, but they still had to know grade level material. Board members, when they were hiring administrators, they had to make sure that those administrators were able to know how to run the school, know how to talk to the teachers, and work with the teachers to make sure that all the students were getting what they needed. And in order to be qualified, you had to have a bachelor's degree, of course, or a certificate for teaching. And you have 3 years to prove that you were highly qualified in the area that you were teaching. And if you didn't, there's money put in the school to help provide for training to help you become qualified.
No Child Left Behind is, there's criticism and then there's positive things. But most of it is criticism. I found more, in that area. But they kind of link together because funding is a big issue. If you're from a low income, you're not going to have money for books. And what do you need books for? You need books to help teach the kids. If you can't teach the kids, how are they going to pass the test? And they also say that, most kids or some kids don't do very well on standardized tests. You could put a piece of paper in front of them with a problem and they can get it. Give them a test and they'll completely forget everything they learned. Another thing is employment. You can be fired based off the student's failure, and a school can actually close if they continue to fail. And then if the school does open, it has to be a completely different management, so it can't be the same. And then some of the good things were that there was an increase in test scores. They felt like it was a good way to compare each student's grades based off of what they made on the score. And high school graduates, I can't read this because she changed. I'm sorry. They were better at receiving the skills they needed because they had a foundation of what they had to learn based by the framework of the Common Core and what you need to know, when you're learning, because the teacher has to prepare you for the CRCT because they think that's what we need to know. And they were better off at competing for higher, technology jobs. And then they also said that they lived healthier and they had lower mortality rates.
So how this relates to us is since we're in the education program, we're receiving the training we need. We know about subjects, we know how to make lesson plans for certain classes. Also, it also affects if you're a music teacher and you're in a school that doesn't meet NCLB, your students not need to go to another school. That leaves you with nothing. So you have to move to a different school or won't have a job at all. And also, you have a strict guideline of what you have to teach. So you can't deviate from what your school says you have to teach. So you can't teach what you want. And like they said earlier, you can lose your job just based on test scores, which we know is not fair because you can work really hard with a student and they still won't get it. So your job is based